Hello, everybody. How are you? It is Saturday, April 4th, and I am your host, Joseph Jaffe. It is good to see you, to be with you. I can't actually see you, but you can see me. The best way for us to interact is for you to leave a comment, and that's a way that I can give you a shout out or two or three or four or five and make this a little bit interactive. I'm calling it a bit of potpourri today, a bit of a looser format. I'm going to mix things up a little bit. I may or may not do the Zoom after show. I may or may not let this continue for about an hour and just make it a little bit more relaxed. Yes, Bob, it is T-shirt day. Justin, Lazarus, how are you in England? How's everything going? T-shirt day. In fact, let me just show you what it is. It's my Latte Larry's T-shirt that just arrived, and for those of you watching Curb Your Enthusiasm, it's a little plug from there. Adam says he's not falling for the Trevor Noah thing again. Well, you may not have to. I'll get to that a little bit. In a while, Crocodile. Hello, Lindy. How are you? From Cape Town, and Mark from Johannesburg. There is Linda. Delighted getting out in sunlight had proved my effect. Yeah, I mean, you got to get out. You got to take advantage of these beautiful, beautiful days as well. Bob, let's try not to make this political, dude. You know, you're always showing me your Bert or your Ernie or your Bernie. I don't know. You're a bit of a Sesame Street type of guy. Hello, Amy. How are you? Happy Saturday. I'm always happy when I see your name. And Martine Berman, also hello to you. Hope you guys are fine. And Haiti, am I singing for you today? Only if you make a request as well. Justin says all good, still allowed out to walk and exercise, but definitely self-distancing. And yeah, I mean, I'm doing that too. I'm gonna go for a little run maybe with my son, which I'm looking forward to. It's about in Celsius, I guess 14, 15 degrees. What is that in Fahrenheit? See, I had to go and do a little bit of a conversion, so I can tell you what it is right now, and I'm sure you'll probably beat me to it. But it's great to have you guys, and it's like Saturday, and feeling good. I don't know why. Maybe I shouldn't be feeling good, but 58 degrees. That is definitely running weather. In fact, it's perfect running weather. So I think I'm going to go do that. I think it could be quite nice. But yeah, nice to give you guys a bunch of shout outs. You know, Justin, you had to spoil it. Spurs have been relegated to the championship due to COVID-19. This is coming, of course, from a Liverpool fan who's not going to get the league. You know, don't start with me because I'll start right back with you, dude. You know, give it to me. I'll give it back with interest. Hello, Warren. How is everything going? And Haiti wants me to sing Green Bank Drive by the Christians. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. Why not? I mean, no one has, you know, no one's told me to stop. Actually, even if you do tell me to stop, I can continue. So I think, Linda, you said improved. I guess you maybe made a little bit of a typo earlier, I'm thinking. But, you know, funny enough, Linda, you said that the sound was a little bit spotty yesterday. And I noticed about 1 minute before I actually went on today, 1 minute, that the Apple's whatever tower they call it, they've got a name for it, I forget. But I noticed that it was actually flashing amber. So I went and reset it and I was able to get on. So hopefully the quality is a little bit better. But guys, thank you so much for all these comments. Nice to see you guys are so engaged. Derek said today was cleaning day. So he's knee deep in bleach. He may not be able to join, but he's excited for Trevor Noah. We both have very cool accents, don't we? So I don't know if you guys are really here for me or for Trevor Noah. A little bit bitter about that, I suppose. You know, and that's okay. You know, because I understand that you're more interested in I guess celebrities as well. And so it's been interesting, you know, because we've had this little "Where is Trevor" hashtag. You know, he was meant to be on. He didn't come on. I think there was some technical issues, etc. And so you know what? I suppose maybe I should bring him onto the show, and I'm just going to see, of course, if he's in the green room. And then hang on a second. I kid you not, right? Hello. Yeah, I know. It was a great interview with Bill Gates. I loved it. Did he stop shouting at me? Did he actually, was he responsible for the virus, by the way? He wasn't? Okay. So why aren't you in the green room? You're tired. You're exhausted. You had a long week. I had a long week too. My audience of at least 25,000 minus 24,000 and change is waiting for you. Okay, you need a nap. You'll come back tomorrow. All right. There you have it. Looks like, unfortunately, the "where is Trevor" hashtag is going to continue. He did call this time, and he did absolutely make an excuse. So, there you go. There you go. Hopefully you'll stick with me and stay with the show today, but maybe you'll come back tomorrow. Hello, Jonathan. Keep it going, the strong information. Yeah, I got information for you today. Yeah, you see, Amy, don't doubt me. Don't doubt me. I'm resourceful. South Africans stick together. So, maybe he'll be back tomorrow. Yeah, we are. I mean, you can laugh if you want. Justin said, let's get Poch on the channel. I don't know if Poch and I are on speaking terms, but maybe, just maybe, we could get Jose Mourinho on. I know that you would love that, wouldn't you? So anyway, guys, I love this little bit of a start today. I have a smile on my face. I don't have a cap on today. I figure until I have to actually shave my head, because that's, ultimately what's happening here is two things, right? At some point, based on how long we're indoors, we're either going to have to shave our heads, or we're going to have to get someone in our house to give us a haircut. And generally, I think that's how it's going to work. They'll give us a haircut. We'll be so kind of appalled, although we'll tell them that they did great, that we'll then take a razor to our head. So I'm ready for that. I remember a friend of mine, Harold Krovitz, who's in Australia now. He told me that I look like the FA Cup, they're the handles. So that, I guess, is what it's going to look like, what it's going to look like for me. And Linda said, well, I'll definitely look up Trevor. I'm oblivious. You don't know who Trevor Noah is? He's amazing. Justin said, no hairdresser, so you need a head shave live on air. I guess I should do that live on air. I never thought about that. But yeah, I'm definitely going to do that. Okay, guys. So we always start off with some numbers. And I think I'll give you some numbers because, today we'll talk about a few things related to what's going on. A couple of newsworthy topics. And I think instead of me just flashing it in front of you and then just moving on too quickly, maybe I'll just kind of really discuss them and go a little bit more in depth and see what your comments are and kind of follow up with your comments as well. So, we always start off with the global cases. Yesterday, I think we crossed the million mark, and now we're sitting at 1.15 million cases at the moment. Just under 61,000 deaths, and always in parentheses you can see yesterday's number, and then the recovered up to 237,000. And then we go to the US. I live in the US. I think the US has a particular problem and challenge right now. We're up to 290,000 cases and 7,800 deaths. Now, I actually yesterday started to give you an idea of what that change was, because if we want to see what flattening the curve looks like in terms of cases, well, the other curve that we need to look at is the death curve. I mean, let's just be honest and blunt about it. So what I did find was interesting was slightly lower than the day before. Now, let's hope that that is a trend. Let's pray that that is a trend. I mean, it's weird that we're praying for the lesser of deaths, but 1221 versus 1229, and we're coming up to 10,000 recovered at the moment. So that's kind of what the numbers look like at the moment. And, we can discuss them and we can discuss what they mean. And we probably should. I do want to tell you that, and I think you know this, that I've been doing these interviews. We've had a few interviews now, and I actually have a whole bunch lined up, so I'm excited. In addition, obviously, to Trevor Noah, I'll have to bump one of my interviews if he ever calls in. I mean, when he calls in, I should say. But we've got Shiv Singh coming up. Shiv wrote a book called Savvy, which is all about fake news and living and operating in the times of fake news. We've got Peter Shankman. We've got Chad Dick from Eat Big Fish to talk about the whole challenger mindset. We've got Bob Killian talking about branding and rebranding and how managers can think about that today. And then we've got Mark Fiedelman. And Mark wrote this post that has just been gnawing on me in a sense. It was just a simple little post on Facebook. And he basically said, will this prove to be the greatest overreaction of all time, or, time and resources and consequences well spent? And I'm going to bring him on, and because it's his post, there have been hundreds and hundreds of responses, and I guess we'll discuss some of those responses as well. So those are some of the things, I guess, that you can look forward to. And I love the format of bringing, some people on, and I certainly hope that you enjoy it. Okay, so birthdays. Let's talk about some birthdays, shall we? Because we've got a bunch of birthdays. We've got Eden Spodek, we've got April Cooper, we've got George over there, my friend Alison Warmark. She may not like that photo that I chose of her, but I did. Dave Gusick, who is another friend of mine in Westport, Derek, Anik, and Jeffrey. Happy birthday to all of you guys. You should never celebrate alone. That's for you, Justin Lazarus. You'll never walk alone. You'll never celebrate alone as well. Okay, so let's talk about some things in the news. And I thought it would be a really good idea to do that. But before I do that, I have to discuss something that happened to me yesterday. I'm prepared to share it with you. This is definitely not safe for work. If any of you, I'm not going to show you anything, don't worry, but if any of you got kids that are watching at the moment, please don't. Yesterday, I'm busy doing my show, and I'm interviewing Lars, which was a great chat. I hope you liked it. If you're new to the show or you're just tuning in today, go back and look at yesterday's show, because Lars is a fantastic creative director, and the two of us were discussing advertising and marketing during this, age of Corona, some of the do's and don'ts. And it's a conversation that we definitely need to do again. But in the middle of interviewing him, suddenly in front of my screen, I see hardcore porn, XXX rated. And you'll notice, I think it's round about maybe minute 5.5 or something like that. I turn around and I go, it was the weirdest reaction. I turn around and I go, oops. Oops, I wonder what that was. Let me just go and do this and do that. And I didn't know what had happened. Turns out I'd been hacked. Now, what I've been doing, for those of you that have, obviously you know this if you're part of the show, but I do my show for 30 minutes and then we go to Zoom for 30 minutes and we do a little bit of a more small, intimate little conversation. I don't even lead that conversation for the most part. I'm putting the show, on LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram and doing a whole bunch of things. But it turns out right now, and look, if you take a step back for a second, it is true that when any new medium comes along or new piece of innovation or technology, there are certain industries that are always first to market. Gambling, porn, and direct marketing. And in this case, I think I got the porn angle. What's really been happening is that people that are, first of all, Zoom has a whole bunch of security flaws that have allowed malicious code to be written on computers, that have allowed, computers to be taken over, screens to be shared, and obviously PC versus Mac have different vulnerabilities. Zoom just came out with a patch yesterday, and what you see in the news is, Zoom has actually frozen all product development on their roadmap right now in order to deal with security, because it is clearly a huge priority. Now, what's really happened, There's Jonathan saying, good old Mike. Just don't say his first name and his last name out loud. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But what the hell was I saying? Oh, yeah. So what Zoom has actually done right now is that all meetings now are set to certain defaults. Passwords now are required. People are automatically put into waiting rooms. And I've been able to go and do a few things as well to make sure that when I do Zoom meetings, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but a participant can't just share their screen automatically. They have to ask for permission, and also they can't unmute themselves unless I unmute them. So you live and you learn, as a user, as a host, as a creator, and also Zoom are, I guess, learning the hard way. So, that was my life yesterday. It was a little bit embarrassing, but hopefully you didn't even figure it out. But now you can go back and look at the show and chuckle at my oops. That was definitely not the reaction that I thought I would be giving during something like that. All right, so I wanted to actually spend a little bit of time talking about some of the numbers and, just kind of like dealing with them. So, by the way, if you want to follow a really good account, Chart Daily on Instagram is a good one. Every day, a different chart. And it's not just COVID-19 related. It's for the most part related to many other different things. But this is the chart, and it's an important chart to look at when we look at, remember I said earlier, not cases, but fatalities by country. And what we see, clearly what we want to see is, something that looks like Australia or something that looks like South Korea. Of course, really interesting to see how that curve has flattened in China, not just flattened, but almost stopped in a sense. This is the one kind of flat line we need. So a few things that I wanted to share with you. Number one, Spain and Italy now have crossed 10,000 deaths apiece. Obviously, the US is going to be there soon enough, but both curves appear to be flattening. And maybe there is some good news because when you look at the UK, France, and the US, the belief is that we should hopefully start to see that curve flattening over the next 7 to 14 days. Now, the thing that I'm going to spend a bit of time talking about today is the fact that the US is not in lockdown. And how might that affect that curve? It's something certainly that is quite troubling. Going back to China for a second, they will most likely drop out of the top 10 worst affected countries soon. And that is still just like mind-blowing that the country that that started in, I should say, has been able to get out of it and get on with it. Now, of course, there are a whole bunch of debates, conspiracy theories, but certainly I think we've come to believe that we cannot rely on and trust the data coming out of China. So, there's always going to be that little caveat or asterisk as well. And Brazil is a major concern. It seems like after the US, or maybe in place of the US, Brazil is a real problem. And it comes back to leadership, right? It comes back to, to their president that is really undermined and underplayed, and I think underemphasized the severity of COVID-19. So, something to look at. So let's talk about the US for a second. I have been watching this carefully, and I'm sure you guys have too. There are now, I think, down to essentially about 5 states that have rejected and pushed back or just have not instituted some kind of stay-at-home order. And you can actually see, if you look at, this is, courtesy of the New York Times, if you actually look at partial orders in place, that number kind of increases a little bit as well. So we're looking at about 9 states. It is interesting to me, really interesting to me, how difficult it has been in order to figure out a way to lock down the entire country. We began so strongly, by closing flights to or from China. But right now, this whole federal versus state debate, to me, is insane. I don't accept it. I never will accept it. And I think I saw something really interesting that I wanted to share with you, which is, the federal relationship with the states, the ability for the federal government to come to the aid of a state. It was always built and based on one state needing help at one time. The relationship was always meant to be one-to-one. A hurricane, a flood like Katrina, but nothing that affected the entire country at the same time. And you know, what is federalist versus constitution-based, et cetera, I don't fully understand it. I don't like it. I don't respect it. I don't accept it. And the sooner that we can get to a point where the entire country is locked down, the sooner we can all begin to heal. I also thought it was interesting to see how quickly this has changed. So you can look at this two ways. First of all, you can basically, you look at that, you know, trajectory from the 23rd to the 26th to the 30th to now, you know, April 4th. And it's amazing, I think personally, it's amazing to think that March 23rd, only 9 states actually had these shelter in places. How much time has been wasted? How much time we've lost? And at what cost? At what cost in terms of being so slow and sluggish? And I think to myself, you know, what is it right now? What is it right now with these governors? Why are they pushing back? What is the motivation? What is the motivation to be able to say, this is not going to happen to us? Is it denial? Is it denial? You know, denial, what do they say? Denial is not a river in Egypt. Is it arrogance? Is it hubris? Is it ignorance? You know, it needs to be said that all of these holdout states are states with Republican governors. So I don't understand that. You know, I guess I'd feel a little bit better maybe, or worse, if it was a mixture, if this wasn't actually something where we could look and say, this is partisan or it's not partisan as well. It's something that really, really concerns me. And it's something that I feel like the sooner that we can address it and come together, and I don't know why we don't. I do not know why these governors could not, you know, come together and have a conversation or a conference call. There's apparently these daily governor briefings. It's just mind-boggling to me. And we will look back at these states' decisions, at these governors. We will look back, and there will need to be a reckoning. There will need to be accountability. I think back to Louisiana as a state that was going along, you know, their merry ways until it became at one point the highest growth rate in the world, post Mardi Gras as well. And we'll come back to that, you know, in a brief moment, this conversation. But I do see a few comments that have come in, wow, like a lot of comments. Well, first of all, Linda said, we're assuming that the numbers are truthful. Yes, I mentioned that. I don't think we can assume that at all, which is in a way quite troubling, right? Because you know, if the numbers, you know, it's a weird feeling, because in a way, should we feel heartened by the fact that if they could stop, you know, the spread of the disease there, then anyone can. But at the same time, if those numbers are so much worse than we think, that is really troubling and quite scary. My friend, I know I touched my face there, but I'm in my environment. My friend Ritesh, he said, nice to see your face and hear your voice. Yeah, I mean, I wish we were in Flannery's on 14th and 7th watching a Spurs game, but unfortunately, that is just not reality at the moment. He also asked if South Korea model is the best one. I believe so. I believe it is the best one. Yes, they have figured out how to contain this. And, you know, it's funny because Ritesh also then asks and he says, wait until this hits Africa. Well, you know, it's interesting that you say that, because when the South African government came out, they put together a whole briefing document, essentially a PowerPoint document, and they said that they were going to follow the Chinese model, you know, minus, you know, obviously the big brother and, you know, the autocratic approach. But you know, why not look towards the best practice? why not look towards the best model out there and say, this is what we're going to do? And you know what? And this is a thing that we have to ask ourselves. At what cost, right? Would I sacrifice privacy? Would I allow myself to be tracked, on my phone if it, contact tracing? Yes, I would, if it meant saving lives. We are going to have to deal with some of these civil liberties and some of these privacy, just for those of you in marketing and advertising, which is, my business, we've gone through the whole, CCPA and then GDPR. We've gone through this whole move towards privacy, but now we might have to back away from that in order to be more connected between governments, between countries, between states, between localities, in order to do a better job at being able to contact trace. Ritesh, you also ask about wait until this hits Africa. Well, probably I need to do, in fact, I will do a show. There are a couple of South African thought leaders and futurists that I'm going to have on, that I'm talking to at the moment. And they can talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly right now going on in South Africa, whether one size, in fact, fits all. South Africa has been in lockdown now for, I guess, coming on 10 days, maybe. Has it been 2 weeks? Again, the days turn into weeks, and the weeks turn into months as well. Also, it's getting colder in Africa as well. And so with limited infrastructure and limited, literacy, it's going to be a major concern. And I pray every day for Africa, for my home continent. I do. I pray every single day. Nice to see Paul commenting as well, going back to the earlier chart that I showed you about Brazil being a huge problem, where, there's an added level of complexity where you've got the drug lords, and and the issues in the favelas at the moment as well. It's going to be a major problem, and we really hope and pray that every country, again, you keep looking and you say, how much time do you want? How much time do you need? Do I have to spell it out for you? Do I have to put it on a silver platter for you? Different states, different governors, different regions, different countries. It should not be difficult. And yet, for some reason, it is hugely difficult as well. It's a major concern. So the last thing that I wanted to chat to you a little bit about is, going back to the US for a second. Now, we talk about the US and what it would take in order to flatten the curve. And one of them is, this idea of grounding all flights. Why are we not grounding all the flights? I just saw this article, scares the crap out of me, to be very honest. You've got flight attendants saying, we're definitely spreading it. We're definitely spreading it right now. I mean, I came back from South Africa. March 13th. And already I was concerned that the flight attendants on my flight from London to New York were not using gloves. There were no masks. It was so sporadic. And that is March 13th. Here we are, April 4th. And these flights are still flying. Now, I'm going to show you something that is absolutely going to kind of, blow your mind. The other day, a few days ago, I showed you that data visualization showing the importance of social distancing. And just unbelievable, seeing a beach in Fort Lauderdale and how those people on the beach during that time actually went out and spread, or at least they themselves spread, over the course or over the whole United States. And clearly some of them would have been asymptomatic or shedding the virus as well. So do you want to see what actually the flights look like right now? This is what the flights look like right now over the US. I actually took a screenshot earlier, but that is how many planes are flying right now. It is unbelievable. And when you actually contrast that with Europe, now you can obviously see Europe is going into the evening. You can see, the darkened just by France. Oh, sorry, that's not France. It's Frankfurt's airport code. So you can definitely see less planes in the sky, but it is marked. It is absolutely prevalent right now. We are our own worst enemy here in the US by us continuing to keep borders open, for us continuing to have holdout states that no doubt are going to go through the same trajectory. We've seen it. We've seen the story play out. It is Groundhog Day. It is a bad record. It is a broken record. We also need to ground all flights. And I don't care whether this is, Amy, you make a really important point, and you're absolutely right. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention it. So thankfully you did. There are a lot of shipments of goods, and there are flights as well where there might be 3 or 4 or 5 people on the flight, but the cargoes are full. Absolutely. And those aren't, that's just commercial. Many of the flights right now are the FedExes of the world and the 100% cargo flights. But still, that map just scares me to pieces as well. Charles just said, hello, Joey. Charles Brett, I haven't seen him in a long time. Welcome to the show, even though, I just gone a little bit of a rant about all the flights that are showing at the moment. Amy just said, everyone knows we're not a well-educated country. Well, we are and we aren't. I mean, I remember Bob Garfield, who's a pretty famous ad critic, once turned around and he said, 50% of the population are dumber than the other half. And if you have to think about that too hard, I can tell you exactly which half you're in. But all things being equal, half, 1 in every 2 of us is dumber than the other one, right? But I mean, to me, it's funny how we look at this, and it seems so simple. It seems so obvious, It seems like common sense, and yet, we are stuck. We're stuck in terms of being able, to look at things and have biases and dig in our heels and be proud and not admit when we're wrong. I mean, all of these emotions, in many respects, relate to the last thing that I really wanted to share with you today. And of course, at any point in time, if you have a question, if you want me to talk about something that I didn't today, for the most part, this will be the show today. I'm not going to go to Zoom because I do want to go for that run. I woke up late. In fact, I had a bad night. I need to stop the red wine. I woke up at about 12:45, and I knew straight away that I wouldn't be sleeping. I just knew it. And I was awake from like 12:45 until about 4:30 a.m. And then I eventually fell asleep exhausted. So I'm still having these bad evenings. I almost went and did some work. But I think it's definitely anxiety related. And that's really the last thing that I want to talk to you about today, which is, I'm sounding a bit like Tony Fauci right now, a little bit raspy. Maybe I've been talking too much. But I saw this chart, and I actually thought like there's something like amazing in it. It's a checklist in a sense, but it's also a continuum. Who do I want to be during COVID-19? First, you have the fear zone, complaining, blaming, being angry, right? That was me. It still is me to a degree. When I get so mad at our government. I mean, or it's not just our government. It's leadership. You want to be able to blame someone. You want to lash out. You need to lash out. I would love to introspect and look inside me, but I'm not to blame. I didn't do anything wrong in this case. And so that madness, that anger, somebody said to me, like, why are you filled with so much hate? And I'm like, no, there's no hate. I don't hate anyone. I don't hate at all. I'm just angry. I'm frustrated. I'm sad. I'm in pain. I'm lashing out, and I need to, because I can't hold it all inside. I can't just bottle it up. It's not who I am in general, but also that would eat away at me if I did. And it's not just mad at our leaders. It's mad at the punks, that on spring break, and mad at religious leaders that are defying these stay-at-home, orders or suggestions, and having full churches or synagogues. I mean, because God will save us and redeem us. Well, where is He? So there's a lot of things that live in the fear zone. But let's move over to the learning zone. And what I'll do is I would love to, after each one, I'll look and see if anybody has any comments and just mention them. Linda said, we are experiencing grief. Yeah, there are the 7 stages, of grief that we're going through. And I saw a brilliant chart the other day that actually talks about, it was amazing, that actually talks about how our ability to change and adapt to change loosely follow the 7 stages of grief. So I thought that was really, really interesting, and maybe I'll discuss that if I can find it tomorrow or a day coming up. But let's talk about. I'll go back to hopefully trying to figure out a good. You can still see me a little bit, but why would you want to? But hopefully you can see the screen a little bit easier. Let's look at the learning zone. I start to give up what I can't control. I stop compulsively consuming what hurts me, from food to news. The ability to switch off, being able to identify your emotions, but I think in this case, accepting them, not hiding from them, embracing them as well, evaluating information before spreading. And just, this, to me, like the learning zone is this idea of letting go a little bit and finding compromise. For me, the way I interpret this is the fear zone is all about me. It's all about, like, I'm so insular, I'm so closed, I'm so blinkered that I can't see anybody else but myself. But the learning zone is the olive branch. It's the bridge. It's the ability to reach out and actually start to find some kind of a balance, recognizing that it takes 2 to tango, whether it's a relationship with your spouse, your kids, your colleagues, or even government, that it is a 2-way street. But it is the growth zone, at the end of the day. The growth zone is the one that it's really not about you anymore. Paul just asked, he said, would you send me a copy of this chart? Absolutely, I will. I'll post this chart as a comment on the show notes afterwards as well. So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's spend the last few moments today talking about the growth zone. I'll go through each one, right? I think of others and see how to help them, right? It's not about me anymore. I make my talents available to those who need them. I'm happy to say, I'm relieved and I'm proud that I am in many respects in the growth zone. Not exclusively, because I've spoken to you guys about this manic depressive existence. The highs are high, the lows are low. I move between it. We all move between it. But this is why I'm doing CoronaTV. This is why I'm doing it every day. This is why I'm prepping and thinking about it and why I can't sleep. This is why, I asked you to share this and with other people, or maybe there are clips that are important to you. Why I'll share this chart with you, Paul, but I'm not doing it for myself. There's no monetization. I don't know what the benefit is today. Maybe there will be something down the road, but it's helping me. It's cathartic. It's helping me heal as well. I live in the present and focus on the future. Yeah, I mean, the past is the past. This is also in stark contrast with this idea of blame. It's easy to blame. I'm still blaming. I need to blame. We all need to blame. Why didn't we do that sooner? But we can't change it. We can't change the past. We can only make the most of the present and figure out how to build towards the future, or ensuring that there is a future. I'm empathetic with myself and with others. I like the idea of empathy. It's not just with others, it's with myself. It's also being able to allow yourself to feel, to heal, to be angry, and not to judge yourself, not to be too harsh. I thank and appreciate others. So important. When I wrote the book Flip the Funnel, I said that the first stage of flipping the funnel was acknowledgement. Thank you. When last did you thank your spouse, your kid? When last did you thank someone for what they did or what they do for you? Or essential services. Well, the answer there is you don't have to ask that question for essential services. People that are coming out on their balconies, that are honking, that are, cowbelling, that are cheering on our essential services, just like we did with the first responders after 9/11. That is part of the growth zone. I keep a happy emotional state and spread hope. It's important to do that. It's also important to sometimes be a little down and depressed, but generally being happy is important. And I saw a clip the other day that actually says, generally, when you look at a lot of the messaging coming out of advertising, what's really happening is we're seeing a decrease in smiles. Well, you know what else is even more contagious than a virus? It's smiling, because a smile goes a long way, and it is just like a yawn, right? But a smile is ultimately the most contagious as well. So even when you're feeling down, find a way to smile, even if you have to fake it, and spread that hope. The final two, I look for a way to adapt to new changes. Adapting, maybe one day I'll talk about what I call the survival instinct. The survival instinct is predicated on two things: self-preservation and adaptation. Evolution, the ability to change. We are all changing. We are all being changed. We are forever changed. And it is because of that we need to figure out how to continue to adapt and recognize that the only, business as usual now is business as unusual in many respects. The only constant is change, right? We've heard all of these quotes and cliches, but we are living them on every day. And finally, I practice quietude. Is that like gratitude or solitude? Patience, relationships, and creativity. So important right now. When I do this, I'm creating. Every time I do something, I am creating. Every time that I think about something new to put onto the show, I am being creative. I am taking risks. I am, experimenting. It's been a fantastic growth experience for me doing CoronaTV, being able to create these connections with you. And that's why, I hope that chart was valuable. It was valuable for me. I need to make sure that on any given day that I can spend more time in the growth zone than the learning zone, and more time in the learning zone than ultimately in the fear zone. Fear is about self-preservation, but growth and adaptation is ultimately the only way that we evolve, right? Survival of the fittest. What doesn't kill me makes me stronger. So that's really what I wanted to talk to you about. I think we'll see if any other comments come in. But Linda, you were very active today. I love that. Thank you for your contributions. You spoke about the fact that you're meditating more. Yeah, I mean, if that works for you, fantastic. Meditation, I've never actually meditated before. I think maybe my ADD wouldn't allow me to do so. But meditation or yoga, whatever works for you guys, you should do more of it, and you should share what works with other people. This isn't about living your life in full disclosure. This isn't or shouldn't just be about, letting it all hang out on Facebook. That's not what this is about. It's being able to be a little bit vulnerable and a little bit open and a little bit more transparent and a little bit more giving as well. Because when we put ourselves out there, other people see themselves in us. And that's how we heal. We heal by allowing other people to recognize, I hate to say the cliche, but you know what's coming from me, right? We're all in this together. We're all in this together. It's funny because we did get a comment that came in right at the beginning of this from Derek, because I'd said, Derek Marabon rhymes with marathon. Derek actually wanted to ask this question. Derek, maybe I'll answer this tomorrow, as well, because. But here's the thing. This is what I did want to just share with you quickly. We are. What does it mean? We're all in this together. it means that no matter how tough your business is right now, there are other businesses that are going through the same trials and tribulations and struggles, and some are doing even worse than you are. And that's why the first piece of advice that I give and keep giving is just stay afloat. Just figure out how to keep the lights on, or at least the ability, to make sure that if and when this ends, you can go back. And we'll talk about some of those a little bit more tomorrow. So Linda, you might have to become my co-host, but I appreciate all the comments today. You said all zones need to be experienced. How long one stays in those zones depends. Yeah, it does. It depends on you, and it also depends on maybe it's a 60-30-10, right? We talk about the 60-30-10. We talk about the 70-20-10. I don't know what the optimal split is. It would be great. How magnanimous of me to say that I'm 100%, in the growth zone, but I'm not. And that's why I've been trying to explain to people as well. I've said to them, like, you need to allow me to vent and allow me to be angry. It is important for us to be able to get it out. And it's also important to recognize that, as I said, it's not always and necessarily hatred. Our emotions are complex. Our emotions are confusing, are ambiguous. And recognizing that we have mixed emotions, at the same time as well. Amy said denial. Yeah, the people on the beaches. Was it denial or was it selfishness? But ultimately, whatever it was, it's led to harm for them and for people that they love as well. We'll go back and we'll look at. Sorry, Bob, I touched my face again. I did wash before, and I've got my Purell. I actually haven't used this in a while because I've been indoors for so long now. Love it, love that smell. But there, I'm washing for you. Hopefully that makes a difference as well. Amy, we look at what the Ad Council has done, the idea of alone together. Very soft language, very different to the stuff you expect, right, from the Ad Council. This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs. Remember the iconic commercial with a frying pan and I guess fried eggs or something like that. I'll find that and maybe bring it into the show tomorrow. We haven't taken that heavy hitting approach. But last night, I actually, in between the time when I couldn't sleep, I saw this long interview with a woman who lost her husband, 42 years old, in the prime of his life, healthy, no pre-existing conditions. And it was just gut-wrenching, this interview. And Erin Burnett, who was interviewing her, was crying. That connected, And sometimes we do need to change our messaging. Sometimes we do need to be able to also change what we say and how we say it. It doesn't always have to be you dumbass, you idiot, why would you do that? Why would you kill your parent or your grandparent or your great-grandparent? Sometimes it can be a different kind of emotion that allows us to connect with people as well. So Linda said, as an extrovert, I need to hear and make exchanges with others. Thank you, sir. No, thank you, Linda. Thank you for all your engagement. You definitely win the prize today. This is very interesting. You're saying one of the students from your area recanted and is very remorseful about an interview on national TV about being on the beach. Yeah, that is a good piece of messaging as an ad guy, as a creative and a strategic planner myself. That is a good message. We need to see those people, being able to stand up and say, I was wrong. I was dead wrong. I'd love to see the governors doing that. I'd love to see these 180s or these about faces. We need people to be able to stand up and go, you know what? I don't have all the answers. I never did. I thought I did. I thought I was so smart or smarter or too smart for my own. We need people to demonstrate that vulnerability. It is important to be able to demonstrate that little bit of that self-effacing approach. That's what will get us through this. What will get us through this is the ability for us to stand up and say, what does it mean, right? We're all in this together. Amy said reflection, people on this call. Yeah, we're reflecting right now with one another. I'm reflecting with you, even though, you know, a few people have commented. Some of you, you know, you don't want to comment. You don't need to comment. Why should you have to, you know, be on the show and comment? If this is helping you, if this is cathartic for you, if this is healing for you, great. I'm happy. I'm happy that I was able to do something that made a difference for you and to you. Spread the love, spread the message, whether it's about CoronaTV or just even something you saw in this. Take the chart that I'm going to post later. You know, share it as well. You don't need to say where you got it from. Why do I need the accolades? Why do I need the acknowledgement? You know, so that I can feel good about myself or better about myself. I don't need that at the moment. You know, I just need to be able to continue doing what I'm doing. So, Jonathan, nice work today. I think you're going to be spinning again, aren't you, tonight? I think you've got a show in your garage with rum and coke at 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern. By the way, if there's a link, I can post it. Post it on the comments for anybody that wants to actually hang out with Jonathan tonight. And am I correct in saying that Facebook is fixed now, that you're still able to do it through Facebook? I certainly hope so. You know, Bob, I was wondering where you were, my friend. We're all on this page, Blue Dot Together. Yeah, I mean, I was going to mention it the other day, but go and check out that URL and find out a little bit more about the Blue Dot. It's important. It's a beautiful, beautiful story. It's a beautiful, there's a beautiful little anecdote about it. Hopefully you'll see that on the video. You know, what is the lesson, right? Sometimes, you know, you don't know what you got till it's gone, right? You don't appreciate something until you're away from it, until you have that perspective and gain that perspective. And maybe that's what's happening right now. We don't need to be in space in order to appreciate this beautiful little planet. This planet that is dying, and I don't even mean the coronavirus. I'm talking about the ozone layer. I'm talking about, you know, the global warming. I'm talking about the glaciers and the icebergs and the polar ice caps melting. Now our planet is healing. Let's heal our planet. Let's heal with our planet. Let's heal for our planet as well. Let's make the most of this. Let's not look at this. If you want to, you can turn around and say this happened for a reason and it's a good thing. Or you could just say, I'm going to make the most of it. That goes back to the growth zone that you saw earlier as well. It goes back to that idea that says we cannot change the past. We cannot control the uncontrollables, but we can live in the present and plan for and hope for a better future. Well, needed or not, you are needed. You've been helpful, useful. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Amy. It's been so amazing to reconnect with you after all these years. I still have to contact you about maybe moving over my blog from TypePad to WordPress. And, you know, Jonathan, I will see you guys. I'll see you more or less about 8-ish or a little bit beyond. It's movie night tonight. In the household. I'm thinking maybe Slumdog Millionaire might be a good movie for the whole family. We have not watched Contagion, and I don't think we will be watching Contagion for a while. Jonathan says, turn off the news and tune into the grooves. Exactly. No news, no Contagion. We don't need that stuff. Watch Slumdog Millionaire or come in and get yourself a nice adult beverage and hang out with Jonathan. Well, guys, a little bit of a different approach today. 30 minutes turned into a little bit more. Hope you like this format. You know, as I said, no cap, T-shirt, mixing it up a little bit, you know, and just riffing on something. I didn't plan a thing, you know, about, you know, I mean, this was, these were my show notes, which I barely even look at. I just wanted to like talk about stuff, and you guys kept me going with all your wonderful you know, comments as well. Good Will Hunting, yeah, that's a movie, right? That's worth watching as well. Thank you, Bob. I don't think I was hacked again. I kept the Zoom running just to see if anybody tried or attempted to to steal in. So I'll go check that now. In fact, I might just jump on the Zoom just for a minute or two. I do want to make sure that I'm done at 3 because I want to go and spend some time with the family. You know, this has been Corona TV. It continues to evolve. It continues to change. For those of you looking to continue to join, we are typically on Zoom from about 2:30 to 3, Monday through Friday. Maybe Saturdays and Sundays we take a little bit of a break and we move to this format. But that's information. We may or may not be instituting a password, blah-de-blah. We'll figure out what happens. We'll cross every bridge when we come to it. We'll take every day as we get to it. Have an amazing Saturday, guys. I love you madly. And I will see some of you, hopefully most of you, all of you, tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Corona TV. Take care, everybody.